Today is the day, guys. We have our official winter forecast for winter of 2020 and 2021. Technically our fifth winter forecast, but this will be the final and official winter forecast. So without further ado, let's get started. If you like staying up to date with the latest weather forecasts and updates, then please consider hitting the subscribe button below. Let's see how fast we can get to 2,000 subscribers. Also, to help this video's performance very much, please consider clicking the like button and sharing this video with your friends. Also, please consider watching the whole video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Now, of course, hopefully I'll be providing some mini updates for like the next month up until the start of winter, but as for my official winter forecast, this is the one right here. So this will be my official winter forecast for winter 2020 and 2021. All right, so here we have our official winter forecast 2020-2021. All right, so this, obviously we're in a La Niña pattern. I'm pretty sure you guys know this by now. We are in a La Niña pattern for the winter. So this map shows you typically, for those of you that don't know, what a La Niña typically, how does it impact our winter typically? And you'll see this reflect on my forecast a little bit as well. So we have a blocking high pressure sitting to the west, which pushes a jet stream, not through the eastern United States, but the jet stream dips a bit earlier, so more so the north central and the upper Midwest gets in on that more of that cold air. As you can see by the map here, the northwest coast is usually wetter, as is the Tennessee Valley, as well as the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. The southwest, south central, and southeast are all warmer and drier. All right, and the eastern seaboard, at least from like Maryland points north, it can be like a toss-up. Although usually it is a bit warmer and a bit drier, but sometimes in La Niña winters, it can be a bit of a toss-up. Now this is what a neutral, I've been dreaming of an ENSO neutral winter, but now, you might be thinking, why am I showing you this? We're in a La Niña. That's true, but as you'll see in some of the maps, there is a slight possibility that towards the end of the winter, maybe February, March, we could bounce back maybe just out of La Niña range. So, like I said, we got to acknowledge all possibilities here. So if we were to bounce back to an ENSO neutral at some point, not looking very likely, but if we were to, you would see the north central, again, Midwest and Northeast, as well as the Mid-Atlantic, pick up on that cold air, and we got some wetter air. We have some more moisture that rides up along the Southeast, right, and converges in the Mid-Atlantic. So that's where your snow is really going to break out. And then, of course, the Southwest, the South Central, and Southeast are all warmer, but instead of warm and dry, these areas are pretty much, for the Southeast, warm and wet. All right, because again, we got a Pacific jet coming in here as well. We got a subtropical jet to the south, and a big polar jet coming in from the north. But we can dream of an ENSO neutral winter, but I don't think that's going to happen. And if it were to, the best chance for it to happen would be February and March. And here's why. So this is the latest graph. All right, sorry if it's cut off at the top, but this is the monthly sea surface temperature anomalies for the Niña 3-4 region. This was just the latest map from about 8 days ago or so. So as you can see, we are where the white dot is right now. Again, we're in a weak La Niña right now. Nothing too strong yet, although it does look pretty strong on the maps. Look at December, January. We do get pretty low. Even in the February, I'll admit as well, we're in like a moderate La Niña, maybe even borderline strong. But March, we do get a little bounce back. And I think the models have kind of eased up on that bouncing back at this point. Like before, some models are calling for it to get back to here. All right, but now it's kind of been lowered a little bit. So even though there's a little bounce up on March, well, by April, it's pretty much spring, so snow is pretty much done anyway. It's not even winter by then. And even like half of March is considered winter, so the end of March is actually springtime anyway. All right, but still, there is a possibility, again, some models do acknowledge it, but most do keep it down here, so that's the way it's looking right now. But again, we have to acknowledge the small possibilities. All right, so let's take it month by month, and if you want to see my forecast again, please consider staying till the end of the video as well. Well, not the very end, but towards the middle and end, I'll begin showing my maps. And here we have December. All right, so here's the mean, and I like to look at the mean anyway because it averages like basically all 8 of these models that you see here, which is why I like it. And the mean of the BOM, the CANSIPS, the Euro, the JMA, the Meteo, NASA, NOAA, and UKMO, so some familiar ones up there. So all 8 of those averaged out for December. They say about 1.6 which is, again, right on the border between a moderate and a strong La Nina. Again, with NASA just going like crazy. Do you realize how strong that is? It's like 3.5 below average Celsius. That we've never seen that before. All right. In January, the other models go they go towards a stronger La Nina, but NASA actually backs up this way a little bit. I mean, I would too. I think NASA's going a bit too overboard with that. All right, but the mean is still sitting around 1.6 or so, 1.7. And in February, now you start to see the models drift back. This is what I'm acknowledging, that possibility, like right on the border between a La Nina and a neutral for some of these models. And also you can see the mean pretty much backs up to like 1.4 at this point. All right, and if we look at March, now a couple of models have backed all the way up in the neutral, while a few, most still do make a La Nina. And if you look at the mean, again, just beyond La Nina, right around 0.9 or 1 degree. All right, but again, JMA and Meteos say, okay, maybe we could go back into neutral by March. But again, even if we were to go to ENSO neutral, you like by the time it like adjusts itself and by the time it settles in, by the time these neutral conditions settle in, it will already be April, right? It's not like the moment it flips to neutral, we see changes, right? It does take a bit of time, so it all depends on when that happens. So if you look at the sea surface temperatures right now, and again, I'm showing you all this leading up to my maps because it's very important to know all this information as well. You can see Niña 1-2 region, like to the east, actually, believe it or not, they're actually picking up on some 3 degrees Celsius below average, so that is really, really impressive. But the Niña 3-4 region, what determines these climate patterns or these ENSO patterns relies on this region right here. And that, for the most part, is around 1, maybe closer to 1.5 or 2. Again, right in that moderate La Nina region, or moderate La Nina zone. So here we have, this is a CFS model. I know it's a bit cut off. So here's the CFS model, right? And as you can see, overall, again, a weak to moderate La Nina settling in. This is December. January, notice the darker blues starting to build in around that Niña 3-4 region, all right? And even February, again, February, the same holds true. Basically, I can remember where the Niña 3-4 region is because if you take the equator, go like this, right? And then you go due south of Hawaii, it's pretty much this region right here. That's how I memorize what the Niña 3-4 region is, in case you want to know. And then by March, notice how those darker blues thin off. I think the CFS does a good job with this. All right, the blues thin off a little bit, all right? We start to go back maybe closer to neutral, but it's still a La Nina by March, all right? And since we'll stop at March, since that's the end of winter. So before we get to my maps real quick, these are the climatological patterns. So as you can see on the bottom left, I put some text here that shows you what we're in. So if we were to see an ENSO neutral, again, it's still possible. If we were to see it, the precipitation will look like as follows. So mid-Atlantic southeast would probably be above average precip, while the interior northeast, Midwest regions, even down through Kansas and Oklahoma, probably some below average precipitation. And the Northwest, like Oregon and Northern Cali at least, will probably be below average. All right, and then Washington maybe slightly above average for Southern California and Arizona, which would be good for their drought situation. All right, but that's just based on climatological data. Again, I could fit all the years that I could. All right, going all the way back. This is December through March, going all the way back to like 1960. And this is what the temperatures would look like. Only the Northwest would be warm. The rest of the country would be cold. Especially those darkest blues show the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic as well. Now, a weak to moderate La Nina. This is kind of like what we're in right now. I may actually think about adjusting this to like a more moderate to strong La Nina, but I did include some strong La Nina years in this as well. So this basically just sums up La Nina for you guys. And you know what? It does a pretty good job. And you'll see this reflected in my forecast as well. Eastern seaboard's a bit drier. And actually, like we're talking about over 3 inches below average, like extreme dry air for like from New Orleans down through Miami. All right, kind of like along I-10, kind of like the I-10 quarter, then going down 95. All right, so it's some dry air there. All right, Southern Plains is drier as well. You'll see that in my forecast. And then Southwest region, we highlighted some dry air. And then the wetter times are 2 regions, basically the Northwest and Northern Rockies, as well as the Midwest region. So you'll see that reflect as well. Now, as for the temperatures in a moderate La Nina situation, the temperatures actually just did surprise me. All right, because the Northeast can actually be, or at least, well, not the Mid-Atlantic, but the Northeast, going all the way back to the Midwest, North Central, which the North Central U.S. has the most abundant cold air, but even down to the West Coast as well, So it's slightly below average, right? You see mostly greens here, which is like half a degree to a degree, so barely noticeable, but still a trend that we need to pay attention to. And slightly warmer for the southeast and south central. Climatologically, this isn't what always happens, but it's climatological data. Oh no, I spoiled it. All right, so now we're gonna get into my forecast now, what you've all been waiting for. My maps now, so enjoy. All right, so we're starting off with temperature, and we're gonna make our way to precipitation, snowfall, and then what you guys have really been waiting for, the overall forecast. So we're starting off with temperature, slightly below average to start off with. Again, basically the Midwest, North Central, and Northwest U.S., and then the moderately below average, a better chance of cold air, maybe some more significant cold air can be found in the North Central U.S., as well as the upper Midwest, like Duluth, Minneapolis, Bismarck, Pierre, South Dakota. We got North Platte in there as well, even Des Moines. And then slightly above average, I did include the East Coast. All right, I think it's a possibility. Again, I might want to shift this yellow line just a bit farther to the east, right? So maybe I kind of been debating that. So maybe including more the Mid-Atlantic region, but not as much as the Northeast, because Maine, like northern New England, is like the biggest toss-up there is, pretty much, because it's still debatable. All right, and then, but for sure, the Southeast could be, we can see some warmer times, some moderately above average air. And then for the Southwest as well, where we're really confident in these two areas, most likely going to see some moderately above average temperatures for this winter. Now we move on to precipitation. All right, precipitation, again, if you go to Climate Prediction Center, like it corresponds with all the models, right, based on my thinking as well. We got two areas, Northern Plains and the Northwest, with areas shading the darker green here, seeing some more moderately above average precip. All right, so maybe for like Cheyenne, Wyoming, for example, Boise, Idaho. And then our other region is the interior Northeast, possibly. Again, it's debatable, but also the Midwestern United States and the Great Lakes region, with especially Ohio, Indiana, Chicago, or Illinois, I should say, and eastern Wisconsin, and pretty much all in Michigan. Now, you see these two areas are in the cold and some of the most above average precip, so keep that in mind. All right, keep that on the back of your head when you see my overall forecast in just a bit. You'll see what I mean by saying that. So here is our forecast snowfall, our moderately below average snowfall. All right, for Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, South Central, and Southwest, all because again, all these areas are going to be expecting either slightly above average or above average temperatures, as well as some slightly or moderately below average precip. So you combine those two and it doesn't look good. And I got news for you, it really doesn't snow in the Southwest anyway, unless you're in the mountains. Same for the Southeast. All right, so at least for, well, it does snow in the Southeast, but I'm talking about like Houston, New Orleans, and Florida. We don't see it too much. All right, but our above average snowfall ranges, again, this does kind of look similar if you pay attention to this area and this area. If I go back to my precip map, these two areas pretty much look the same, and in fact they do. All right, because where we see, there's cold air here already, so where you see the above average precipitation, we can see the above average snowfall as long as the cold air is there. So that those two do kind of correspond. And now the overall forecast, which you guys have all been waiting for. Again, to show you support, if you haven't already, consider dropping a like down below as well. It would really mean a lot. And we are here at the snowfall, or the overall forecast for winter 2020 and 2021. So in case you haven't watched my previous 4 videos, I've even done these, I believe, last year as well. We usually go from west to east, basically from top to bottom on the key as well. That's how I like to organize it. So starting off, and there's a lot more sections this time. So we've broken it down a bit more, and I think that's why I like this graph a lot better. So we're starting off with cold and wet. All right, there's 11 different colors on here, by the way, in case you want to know or if you want to count. All right, so we're starting off with cold and wet. So Northwest United States, basically Pacific coastline. We got Washington, we got Oregon, Northern California. We got Northern Nevada in there as well, and even parts of, like, basically cut Idaho in half, and the western half of Idaho is in that region. All right, and then we have much warmer and drier because we're pretty confident about it for central and southern California, central southern Nevada, the Four Corners region, and points south from there. We got western Texas, including El Paso, Brownsville, seeing some much warmer and drier conditions. Then we got Rocky Mountain snowfall in that hot pink color, basically from northeastern corner of New Mexico through Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, and western Montana as well. Definitely we're definitely going to see our fair share of mountain snow this season, and even some snow getting down to lower elevations as well, without a doubt. And then we got polar vortex, lots of cold air. Again, basically for that Midwest and North Central U.S. region. And then we have our warmer and slightly drier air. I do say warmer because I feel like there's a lot of confidence that it's going to be warm in this region, but the drier part is not as... It's still debatable, but this region will probably most likely be warmer and drier. All right, but I put warmer and slightly drier because I do believe we can still get our fair share of precipitation, but as you saw, climatologically, La Nina does put a big dent in the precipitation for the southeast and south central, even the southwest as well. And then we got some cold and snow for extreme northern Texas, northern Oklahoma, Kansas, and southwestern Nebraska. So maybe some colder and snowier times for those regions. And then we have our winter battle zone. And usually, yeah, you would see this a lot farther south, right? Well, yeah, it's a bit far north, right? Normally you'd see it maybe down here, but yeah, it's moved north because warmer air. All right, so we're seeing our winter battle zone. Sorry, it's almost kind of funny when I screw up. Anyway, so we got Delaware, we got Maryland, West Virginia, northern North Carolina, points west to Missouri, in like that cyan color, that teal color-ish, or I should say cyan. That's where you're going to see your winter battle zone, your wintry mix at times, some rain, some snow. And then we got, like I said, I told you to pay attention to the Midwest region because this is where we can see the worst of the winter weather. Maybe from Motown and Detroit, parts of central western Ohio, pretty much all of Indiana, and even eastern Illinois, or well, also northern Illinois is included, but it's just overlapped by purple. This is where you can see your worst of your winter weather. All right, worst of the snow, the wind, even some of the cold as well. But mostly worst winter weather, meaning like worst snow and maybe even some gusty winds. And then we got our active Great Lakes, right? We got the snow belt. We got the Great Lakes snow belt here, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. We got central western Michigan, even the UP Michigan. Your active Great Lakes, pretty typical for your winter. They will be active this year. And then we got more snowfall than last winter. Even you can even say the winter before that because I don't even think it was that good for the Northeast. So probably better off than last winter, but still, I mean, it's kind of hard to get less than last winter for a place like Philly, considering you guys didn't really get any snow last winter at all. Maybe like a half an inch if you're lucky. So and that does include Long Island as well. So there you guys have it. More snowfall than last winter. I have been focusing on the East Coast or Midwest and East lately because of that snowstorm, but I did want to release my final winter forecast because I know some of you guys are looking forward to it. So thank you guys for watching. So again, thank you to all who enjoyed this video. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be giving an update on one more update on the snowstorm before it starts swinging through the Midwest and Northeast. We can see a lot of snow with it. So consider subscribing and ringing the bell notification. Stay tuned for hopefully the next upcoming major winter storm update. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, I will catch you guys in the next video.